Housing sickos, we are eating so good this patch. Maybe. August 11th will see the release of the first major patch for World of Warcraft Midnight 12.1's Curse of Ulatek. While everyone else will be gallivanting around Snake Island and having very strong feelings about Zul'Jan's impending demise, housing enjoyers will be busy. We'll be hiding away from the drama, the discourse, the poison, the spicy water. We will be enjoying the first major update for housing since the system's formal release back in December. Or if you're like me, you will be screaming, crying, and throwing up from all of the WoW tasks you have to do all at once. What do you mean I need to go do the new quests, explore the new zone, get ready for a new Mythic Plus season, prep for the new raid, and start overhauling my house when there are only so many hours in the day? Genuinely, I'm asking for real. How are we supposed to fit it all in? And holy crap, however we manage it, whenever we manage it, housing is going to be different. We are entering a brave new world of WoW housing. The paradigm is shifting. We're going to be living the future of housing. Don't believe me? Here are the top 10 things coming for housing that will revolutionize our homes in Azeroth, the way we build, what there is to craft and collect, how we run our communities, and will determine what's on the next housing update horizon, ranked from teensy small steps to great leaps forward for housekind. Let's start with increased decor storage up to 10,000. This was a late-breaking change on the PTR, only coming about a week before the release candidate build, so if you missed it, that's understandable. Yes, you can now collect up to 10,000 pieces of decor, up from previous cap of 7,500. This was a lot to be sure, but serious decor collectors and builders were rapidly approaching the cap and found themselves hoarding unlearned decor in their banks to avoid hitting the ceiling. This will be a big deal to a small number of players, and for that I say, huzzah! Go forth, empty out your banks, and learn all that decor you've been sitting on. This change comes just in time for all of the new decor that's in patch 12.1. As you might expect, there are a lot of Amani Troll-themed decor pieces in the catalog, but there are also a fair few new pieces that are created with Midnight crafting. Like this fish, which is created with fish enchanting. This is an enchanting item. Why is it a fish? It has something to do with trading starfish to this Tortolan lady. I love it. You can also look forward to a new set of building block pieces, which include a set of dyeable wall and floor tiles in a variety of sizes. They even have straight edges for easier tiling. Also included are columns, beams, and stairs. Yes, stairs, you heard me right. Straight and spiral prefab stair segments are coming. No longer will you have to manually place beams to create your steps for elevation. Now we have sections that will save folks a lot of house budget. This modular stair system was teased way back when I spoke with principal housing artist Jay Huang in December, and now it's here for real. Did I mention they're dyeable? Because they're dyeable, which makes it even better. I'm sure we will see a lot of incredible things in people's builds with these tools. Also included, a reason to visit the Arcantina again, thanks to a few more quests added to the rotation. As someone who never remembers to check what the weekly Arcantina quest is, maybe I'll get to these eventually. Other decor news comes from Wowkia's own Ophi, who reported that decor costs in previous expansions have been slashed dramatically. Most have decreased by half, but some are even a third cheaper, so if you've been waiting on ethereal pipe segments to get a discount or Kultiran tables to go on perma sale, now is the time. This change means a lot fewer hours spent grinding old content for currency, which is a welcome change. So, sorry to whoever among you already spent millions of resonance crystals on earthen books, for example, but at least you know you have the most expensive library on Azeroth. Also in the catalog, decor from the new Endeavors. Yes, our neighborhoods are about to have 4 new sets of visitors joining the Endeavor roster. We'll be welcoming the Amani, Tortolans, Centaur, and Kobolds to help us with house grinding. But let's be real, none of them are going to be the best choice that the Mechagon Endeavor is with its spider bot. Fuck you, Mechagon spider bot. I hate you, I wish I could quit you, but I can't. For our trouble, we will at least be able to earn new decor, including a dyeable candle, more Amani Troll stuff, some cool underwater-looking baubles, some centaur rugs. No, not that one. These centaur rugs. Either way, I'm going to have to shake them down for that Tide Sage scroll because, ooh, I need that. Oh, I need that. Only the Amani Endeavor was previewable on the PTR, but we can see from the data mine tasks that these new endeavors are not drastically different from the previous set, so waiter, bring me some more Spiderbot cleanup, please. I'll need it so that I can level my house to level 12. Yes, that's right. The maximum house level is increasing from 9 to 12, as many people had predicted. Along the way, you'll receive increased room and decor placement budgets as usual. There's also a new set of weekly quests called Treasures from Distant Lands once you hit level 10. These are combat scenarios offered by the last architect in your neighborhood, and they award a random piece of decor. Emphasis on random. With a pool of about 20 items, it might take a really long time to collect multiples if, for example, you're building an orcish armory and want a bunch of axes and hammers. We can only pray to RNG to take pity on us. I do have a question for the last architect. Are you just giving us the remnants from your bedside table? What's with all the random cups? The cursed keepsakes are maybe a little underwhelming, but I feel bad for the last architect because how can you compare to level 12's reward, the large house exteriors? Similar to how medium houses worked, these large houses come with a plethora of nodes to attach windows, doors, towers, chimneys, and all sorts of configurations. Large exteriors do take up a pretty significant amount of your house plot, so if you want McMansion vibes and less garden planning in your yard, this is the way to go. Are you not feeling human, night elf, orc, or blood elf house exteriors? Well, you're in luck because for some reason, we now have Westfall barn exteriors and more. I can't actually show you this one because it's encrypted, but trust me. Blizzard is giving us what feels like an entire set of shop items for free. They're very themed, they're very high res, they're dyeable, they're coming out of left field in a way that feels very consistent with shop decor items. And it's not just decor, oh no, we are getting 2 variations of Westfall barn exteriors and artisanal rooms to match. Though we can't see the outside yet, we can guess that they probably match their respective interiors. Also, I think it's interesting that the 2 neutral exteriors that we've been given so far pretty closely match 2 biomes in the Alliance neighborhood. What's gonna come next? Is it gonna be a Duskwood-themed spooky house? But what about all of the Horde neighborhood areas? Also data mined alongside these Westfall barns was something called a Riverside room. But not even our strongest data wizards could get any visuals out of the files on that front, so we're just gonna have to live in suspense. What is a Riverside room? I don't know. Hopefully Horde. This whole set seems notable, not just because Blizz seems to have taken pity on us and saved us from the wiles of the cash shop, because this collection is human-themed. It's Alliance-themed even, and placeable in Horde neighborhoods. Remember way back when, a couple months ago, when the devs had to clarify that house exteriors would be faction-locked? Is this a way to relax those rules? Did they just forget? Or are they aiming to pull the cross-faction exterior ripcord in the near future? We can only speculate, but it does feel like an increasingly arbitrary restriction to keep human and night elf houses in Founder's Point and orc and blood elf houses in Razorwind Shores. Especially when your neighbor right next to you might be kit bashing something completely out of place, like an airship or a mecha or a Waffle House. Either way, speaking of human, night elf, blood elf, and orc aesthetics, you might have heard that there are 16 additional artisanal rooms coming for us that match those cultures' aesthetics. Good lord, there are 16 of these. You can expect to see 4 per aesthetic, with increasing room budget costs for each. Humans have a display room, a kitchen, armory, and grand hall. Orcs will be getting a display room, stone pit room, theater, and council room. Blood elves get to enjoy a display room, small study, an armory, and a lofty study, complete with swirly blood elf ramp. Finally, night elves are receiving a nestled bedroom, theater, meeting room, and temple room. These all have baked-in assets, textures, lighting that create a very specific mood in the room. None of the walls and floors are customizable, but that's definitely intentional. They're also limited to just one entrance node, so you'll be forced to place them at the end of a hallway or just skip the rest of the house entirely and live only inside an artisanal room by breaking it down into smaller rooms. It is possible to kit bash over the theming and turn the room into something else, but When I tried, it was almost more trouble than it was worth. Whatever you guys do with these, I'm sure it'll be fantastic and I can't wait to see it. Just make sure that you're positioning your rooms correctly, and while you're doing that, make yourself a proper basement. I have already talked about this in my last video. If you want a step-by-step guide, go watch that one. TLDR though is that the devs have adjusted how floors work in housing. The entryway room, which determines where you spawn in, will now be movable. You can shift it up a floor or 3 or 4 or 5, rearrange your rooms, and basically create the perfect labyrinth or murder drop of your dreams. Just don't do it by moving the door. It doesn't do anything for you, you need to move the entryway. Speaking of systems that have been reworked and have made my old videos obsolete, let's talk about die changes. The housing devs were nice enough to write us up a whole big blue post about this back at the start of 12.1 PTR. Basically, they decided that thanks to a bug affecting die lighting, they wanted to add some extra dye colors to help builders accomplish the dark blacks and metallic tones they had previously used in their builds before the bug. Also added are tones in the pink and orange area of the color wheel, as well as whites, browns, even some greens, reds, and blues, which fills out our color wheel nicely. More importantly, they also acknowledged that it was cumbersome to carry around all the necessary individual dye items in your bags. Instead, going forward in 12.1, you'll just need to have the dyes associated with the hue family, and the housing system will allow you to dye any color associated with that hue. So, for example, let's say you mill herbs into a dye. Let's say it's a blue dye. That's all you need to be able to go into the customization tool, start dyeing decor. It will give you all of the associated blue dyes that are in that family. You should note that these are still consumable, so we haven't gotten away from needing to farm dyes, but at least they are now more useful. Ego, I hear you say, we're getting perilously close to the end of this list, and you haven't mentioned the big show-stopping features yet. Hold your horses, I say, because mounts aren't placeable in houses yet, but pets are. Your WoW house no longer needs to be so empty, because now you can place up to 100 pets inside your house and 25 pets outside it. 100, you say? Not 10? Correct. After stress testing on the PTR, housing devs raised the pet cap. Now you can add your own whelp daycare, make a crazy cat lady house, or just add lots of copies of this thing standing next to your bed watching you sleep. But how does pet decor work? You need to buy special pet bed decor from vendors in town. There's one per neighborhood. There are a variety of styles of decor which will hopefully match the vibe of the pet that you're placing. Then you go to your house, you place that decor that you just bought, you use the Customize tool to open the interface that lets you pick a pet. Inside, you can set them to walk around or stay stationary. Outside, they only stay stationary. Some other important details. Pets are only viewable when you exit the house editor, so if you don't see anything happen at first, that is intentional. Also, while pet beds can be clipped and scaled so that they are less visible, pets themselves do not scale. I am sorry to everyone who wanted a 200% Khadgar head looming in their house. And we've made it to the end of the list. Huzzah! That's everything happening in 12.1. Wait, I'm hearing I forgot one. I forgot the big one. We have to talk about blueprints. So this is what you've been waiting for. This is the housing headliner, the building big shot, the long-awaited way to save, share, and swap builds. No longer will you need to trash a room just because you want to start a new project. No longer will you need to connect a bunch of unrelated housing builds with some cobbled together corridors. No longer will you need to build at all, if that's what you want. Blueprints enable you to load, save, and share housing states. You can save a single room, your entire interior, your entire exterior, or your entire house layout. You can save other people's builds as well, but it is an opt-in system. Creating a blueprint generates a code that can be shared in chat and online. The actual layout data exists on Blizzard's server, so nothing is actually contained within that little code. It's just pointing the system to where it is stored. So if you're hoping you can reverse engineer a perfect build just by, changing a few characters, no, good luck. Not going to happen. Speaking of Blizzard servers, each Battle.net account is allotted 50 usable slots for your blueprints, plus or minus a few for autosaves. If you're saving a blueprint of each specific room you create, this might fill up pretty fast. If you're thinking of ways around this with a complicated system of libraries and databases, You're also out of luck because blueprints will no longer work when the creator removes them from their saved builds. But none of this so far is about what blueprints will mean to the community. Finally, that crazy build you've been coveting. Wow, you can finally just have it. Put it in your own house. Tell all your guildies that you made it. Yay! Can't you tell I'm excited? So I can foresee some cans of worms here. Several, in fact. In fact, enough to make it look like a DoorDash order for the Spires of Iraq. There's a lot of good in this feature. Don't get me wrong, I will be using it for my own builds. I will be tearing down my existing housing, rebuilding them so that I can change floors. All good stuff. I will be saving builds I've already made so that I can get all that decor back into my inventory. It is a useful system. I understand why it exists. I understand the demand for it. But one of the great things about player housing that we've seen in patch 11.2.7 and 12.0 is that every house build that you've seen has been created manually by that player. That introduces a level of trust to the system. In 12.1, that trust is not necessarily going to be there. The next time you're in a housewarming group and you see a cool build, there's no way to know if this is an original creation or if they nabbed it from a blueprint. Maybe they nabbed it from a guildie. Maybe they downloaded it from a creator's Patreon. Maybe they bought it from some real money trading website. Does that make you feel a little different about housing? Because it does for me. I'm sorry to report, but blueprints will be sold for real money. I've heard unofficially from sources that blueprint selling is a do-it-at-your-own-risk activity, and some people will take that risk. I don't even mind that creators are looking to be compensated for the time it takes to make some of these crazy builds. Lord knows it can be really tedious with the tools that are in the system now. I guess my problem is that I've been enjoying housing as an art form because the authorship of a build has been pretty ironclad up to this point. That's rare among creative fields these days. Sure, people might follow a housing guide or take inspiration from someone else's build, but it felt more collaborative and community-minded than turning blueprints into commodities that can then be traded and sold. Of course, I also know that not everyone in the community will be thinking of house building as an art form. I know some people just won't care. I know some people will use blueprints as an on-ramp into the housing system. And I hope these kinds of builders use those blueprints as a jumping off point to make their own creations someday. They might learn that it's really fun. Maybe it'll be the gentle push into the pool that they needed to get them heading towards the deep end of housing sicko-ness. It's kind of like comparing a store-bought cake to a homemade one. I know which one I'd spend time making, and I know which one I'd rather eat, but some people will just see two cakes, which is valid too, but I wouldn't want to skip the creative process of baking or making a house build. We've not even addressed the topic of contests. So WoW runs a monthly theme contest that I judge alongside guest judges, and we give out awards based on skill and participation. If someone can just submit someone else's blueprint and get a participation award from that, that takes the fun out of it for everyone. And I know, I'm probably overthinking it. It won't be all bad. It won't be all good. It sure as hell will be different. Ultimately, this is a collaborative system, and we as a community can hopefully hold each other to account to make sure people are using it responsibly. So what can we do? I don't know. I'm interested. If you have suggestions, you can put them in the comments below. Try to give credit in your builds if you've used a blueprint. Also, try not to beg creators for their housing blueprints. If a creator wanted to share their code, they would have. Anyway, complicated feelings about blueprints aside, we have 9 incredible features to look forward to and a 10th that is mostly good, but I'm just grumpy about. The good news is we can start asking for Housing Classic now. Thank you so much for checking out all of the housing news. I will be streaming the new patch over on Twitch, so come watch me experience it for real. I also have a Patreon. Thank you to all the patrons who are supporting this content. And we also have the WoW community. As I mentioned, we run contests monthly. Anyway, thank you all so much. Have so much fun getting on your yeehaw Westfall vibes. Bye.